What up, world? We are back. Nicholas Coriano. I want to talk to you guys about how to understand Twitter. So, for a lot of people, Twitter can be confusing. I've had a lot of success, so I figure I'm going to do a couple videos on Twitter and how to understand Twitter. So, here's the easiest way to understand Twitter. It took me a really long time to figure this out. But I heard Jack, so this is Twitter, right? This is my feed, and it'll have some suggestions there, and then the feed for everybody I'm following. All right, let's scroll down. Okay, so how do we think about Twitter? How to understand Twitter? I heard this great talk from @Jack, right? So the @ in front of your name, @Jack. He was the guy who founded, one of the founders of Twitter, and he said something very interesting that put it all into perspective. So when you're on Twitter, it'll totally make sense. He said Twitter, the inspiration for Twitter came on a CB radio, right? A CB radio, for those that don't know, is one of those radios that the truckers have, right? So they're constantly just talking to each other, right? So if you think about Twitter like a CB radio, it totally makes sense, right? So if you've been lost, like I was lost a few years, I was on Twitter, it totally makes sense, right? So think about it like this, right? It's a CB radio that documents all your tweets, right? So let's think of the CB radio. When I do this, just think of me on a CB radio, right? Same thing on Twitter. You get on Twitter, right? Just like you get on a CB radio. Every once in a while, you'll see people just rambling on, right? If you've ever been in a truck, you'll know that guys go on the CB radio, girls go on the CB radio, and they talk, right? They just talk. A lot of the times, they're just talking to the mid-air, right? Sometimes they're talking to someone. A lot of times they're just talking out loud, seeing if anyone will hear them. And when someone does hear them, they can reply, right? Kind of like Twitter, right? Where you're on Twitter and people are just tweet, right? Kind of like on that CB radio, just spurting out 140 characters, right? And people don't care what you're saying. Someone else is going to tweet something else, right? Someone else is going to keep going. And then when you hear something you like, you respond to it, right? Or you repeat it. It's also like a CB radio when you think about location-based searches, right? So if I go over here and I type Bridgeport, Connecticut, or New York, New York, or Princeton, New Jersey, right? Whatever it is, you're gonna see people checking in, right? Kind of like they do on Facebook. It's also like a CB radio. You ever see the truckers when they get off the truck stop? I worked at a truck stop actually when I was 17 in the gas station. But when they drive in, right, they get on the CB radio and they're like, hey, we're here if anyone else is here and want to grab some food or whatever, right? These guys are lonely. They don't have a lot of friends, kind of like a lot of people on Twitter. So I say that as I'm alone here, right? My fiance's coming soon. So I want to get these videos out the way. So that's the number one advice I have for understanding Twitter. Think of it like a CB radio, right? So and the hashtags are kind of like the station in a CB radio. So if you're ever on a CB radio in the truck, they have different stations. You turn it on, there could be a cop station, right? You turn it to another thing, there could be some guys talking about one thing, and you turn it to another station, other guys are talking about another thing. That's kind of like hashtags, right? So if you go through, let's find the quick hashtag, because I'm sure, I don't know, okay, here we go. I appreciate people that have this. So now people, like a CB radio has almost endless amounts of channels, right? The frequencies actually change if they have a knob, right? So there's almost an endless supply of hashtags, kind of like channels. So if I click a hashtag, so let's go to this girl here. I appreciate people that, right? And you click on that hashtag, you'll see a whole bunch of people talking about that hashtag, right? So now it's kind of like being on a station, right? When you click that hashtag, all these other hashtags come up. So it really is like a CB radio. If you treat this like a CB radio, this was his inspiration for building Twitter in the first place. It totally makes sense, right? You're kind of just trucking along the road of life. Every once in a while, you get on Twitter, you talk some trash, just like the truckers do, right? You go to another state or another city and you check in. You want to join a conversation about something, sports, business, fashion, whatever it is, you click on that little hashtag and all of a sudden you can communicate with people that are interested in the same things you're interested in. So that's my advice. It really helped me out. I hope it helps you guys out. If you guys have a better way to understand Twitter, comment below. If you think this is helpful, share the post, and we will talk again next time.